Close your eyes now, dear listener. Let the noise of the day fall away. Let your breath grow slow and steady, like the wind that whispers through the canyons of time. Tonight, we travel far from your room, far from the present, deep into the desert, where stone cliffs blush with the color of roses at dusk, and mysteries lie buried beneath centuries of silence. We are going to Petra. Not the Petra you've seen in books or travel guides, but the Petra as it once was, as it might still be, if you listen quietly enough. This is a city not carved by hands, alone but shaped by dreams. You begin your journey just before dawn. The stars have faded, but the sun has yet to rise. The sand beneath your feet is cool, soft, and undisturbed. In the distance, great stone mountains loom like sleeping giants, and between them there is a path, a narrow passage carved by nature and time, a gorge called the Sick. Its walls rise high, as if the earth itself cracked open just wide enough for a traveler to pass through. The deeper you go, the quieter it becomes. The sounds of the world above are replaced by the hush of wind brushing sandstone, the soft echo of your footsteps, and the rustle of a bird nesting in a hollow far above. As you walk, the walls seem to shift in color, deep ochre, pale gold, dusty rose, layer upon layer of ancient stone, whispering secrets in a language too old to speak. And then you see it. At the end of the gorge, as light begins to spill into the passageway, a glow appears. Soft, golden, majestic. You step forward and there it is, the treasury. Alcazar, Petra's most famous face. It is more than a building. It is a memory made solid, a dream carved into stone. Columns rise like frozen waterfalls. Intricate carvings frame an entrance so perfectly symmetrical, it almost doesn't seem real. And yet, there it stands, as it has for thousands of years, waiting, watching, enduring. No one is quite sure what it was for. A tomb, perhaps? Or a temple? Or something in between. But in the quiet morning air, it feels like a guardian. A gatekeeper to a world lost in time. Who built this place? Ah, that is a story for the night. They were called the Nabatenza, people of the desert. Traders, builders, dreamers. They wandered through sands long before maps had names, guiding caravans of spices and silk beneath starlit skies. And then they stopped. They found this hidden place between the rocks, and they stayed. They carved, they built, they listened to the wind. They whispered to stone. And Petra was born. You are only just arriving. There is so much more to see. The hidden tombs, the high places, the amphitheaters carved into cliffs, the secret staircases and water channels that once flowed like veins through the city, but for now, sit here beneath the shadow of the treasury. Feel the hush of the ancient world around you. Let the dust settle on your shoulders like silk. And listen. Petra is ready to tell you its story. Sleep now, if you'd like. There are many chapters ahead. And Petra, wait patiently. Always. You wake slowly, not with a start, but with ease. The morning sun has risen gently above the canyon walls, spilling golden light over the treasury's intricate facade. The warmth is soft, not harsh, and the breeze that flows through the Sick now carries the scent of sand warmed by daybreak. It is time to go deeper. Beyond the treasury lies Petra's heart, and the people who once lived here, they were unlike any other. They were called the Nabateans. Not warriors, not emperors, but travelers of the wind. Before they carved cities from stone, they walked the desert, guiding caravans laden with goods from distant lands, frankincense from Arabia, spices from India, silks from the East. They didn't conquer the world with swords but with roots, with knowledge with 1,000 quiet negotiations in the flickering glow of oil lamps. They were masters of trade, but they were also masters of adaptation. Petra was never meant to exist. Look around, the desert is dry, unforgiving, rain is rare, the sun relentless. And yet, here, in a hidden valley between mountains, the Nabateans built a city that bloomed. How? With silence, with study, with water. You follow a narrow channel carved into stone, a groove no wider than your hand. It runs along the cliffside, sloping just enough to carry water from the mountains. The Nabateans created hundreds of these, an entire network of aqueducts and hidden beneath the city, catching every drop of rare desert rain. They stored it in vast underground chambers, cooled by the stone itself. They rationed it, cherished it, honored it. In Petra, water was life, and life was sacred. As you walk through the city, you begin to notice things you missed before. Small altars carved into stone niches, faded inscriptions written in ancient script, quiet tombs tucked between cliffs, their entrances worn smooth by time. There are no grand palaces here, no sprawling mansions. Instead, beauty lives in balance, in the way every building seems to grow from the mountain, not fight against it. The Nabateans believed in harmony with nature, with the gods, with each other, and in Petra, you can still feel it. You stop at a shaded wall. It's been carved with figures, men and women in long robes, faces now softened by the wind. They stand together, heads tilted slightly, as if listening to something just beyond the stone. Perhaps the voice of the desert, or the memory of rain, or the footsteps of travelers, long gone now. You sit for a while, leaning back against the warm rock. Above you, the sky is impossibly blue. Not a cloud in sight. And yet, you know this place once sang with water, once glowed with lamps, once echoed with laughter and prayer and the hush of feet on sand. The Nabateans are gone. Their kingdom faded, but their spirit remains. In the channels, in the carvings, in the hush of stone that never crumbles, and in you, now, a traveler who listens, who wonders, who dreams. Sleep, if you wish. Petra waits. Tomorrow, we climb higher. But tonight, let the desert wrap you in its quiet. Let the stories settle like dust on your skin. Let the past drift gently into your dreams. The day is soft and warm. The sun, now fully risen, kisses the cliffs in amber light, and Petra seems to glow from within. Every surface shimmers faintly, as if lit by memory itself. You've rested well, and now a gentle climb awaits. You find the steps just beyond a bend in the path. No railings, carved straight into the rock. They rise with a quiet rhythm, one after another, winding steadily up the cliffside. No haste, just stone beneath your feet, and sky above. Each step brings you a little closer to the past, the high place of sacrifice, they call it. But there is no fear here, only silence, only stone, and the wind. As you ascend, you pass weathered carvings in the rock, two tall obelisks, softened by centuries. They once marked this place as sacred. They still do. There is no rush. You pause often to breathe, to listen. A goat bleats in the distance. A bird circles overhead. Below, the city sprawls in stillness. It looks small from up here, but not forgotten. At rest, at the top, you find a plateau. Flat, quiet, open to the sky. The altar still stands, worn, smooth. It's not grand, just a block of stone. This was once a place of reverence, where people gathered not for spectacle, but for meaning. But here, under the open sky, you understand. The Nabateans didn't need temples made of gold. They had the heavens, they had the cliffs, They had the wind and the stars and the silent song of the desert. You'll sit on the edge, your feet dangle gently over stone. The view stretches endlessly in every direction, red hills folding into blue haze, canyons twisting like ancient script, the desert unfolding like a forgotten map, and somewhere down there, the narrow six still wins its way toward the treasury. You were just there, not long ago, but now it feels like a dream. Far below, another path calls. The royal tombs carved into the cliff like great sleeping giants, lined in a row, watching the world. Each tomb bears its own design. Some look like temples, others like palaces, all carved by hand, all made to last. You descend slowly, carefully, the sandstone stairs cool beneath your sandals. The sun begins its gentle arc toward afternoon. You reach the tombs, and though they once held kings, queens, and nobles, now they hold only quiet. You step inside one. The air is cool, still. Dust floats in the beams of light from a small crack above. There is nothing left here. No treasure, no names, only stone dot and silence. But somehow, it feels full, like someone has just stepped out and may return at any moment. You sit on a ledge carved long ago, and you imagine the people who once came here with flowers, with prayers, with tears. You imagine a mother whispering a farewell, a father lighting a lamp, a child carrying a garland, all gone now, but not forgotten, because the stone remembers. Always. You step back into the light, and Petra welcomes you again with the warmth of sunlit walls, with the hush of distant winds, with the patience of time. Sleep now. If your eyes are heavy, let the wind carry you downward, softly into dream. You are safe here. You are part of the story now. You awake gently, still surrounded by sandstone. The sun has risen higher now, but the light is kind, not harsh. Petra does not glare. It glows. You are not high on the cliffs anymore. You're walking through the colonnaded street, the ancient heart of Petra's daily life. This is where the Nabateans once lived, not in palaces or tombs, but in the simple, rhythmic beauty of ordinary days. Imagine it now. Stone columns lining both sides of the wide road. Some are still standing, proud and straight. Others have fallen and rest in the dust, warm to the touch. The street stretches ahead in perfect silence, but once it pulsed with sound. A bronze merchant offering bracelets, their surface etched with swirling designs. A baker pulling flatbread from a clay oven, the smell rising like a song. A potter turning clay with fingers quick and steady. And somewhere, a child laughing, chasing a goat that's stolen an apple from a stall. The people of Petra were many things. They were traders, yes, but also teachers, farmers, carvers, storytellers. Inside, mats were laid out neatly. Jars held oil and grain. Lamps flickered during evening meals. Their homes were simple, often carved directly into the soft stone of the cliffs. You step into one now, cool and quiet. Dust motes dance in the shaft of light that slips through a hole in the wall. It's empty, of course, but it doesn't feel abandoned. It feels paused, like someone has just stepped outside to fetch water and may return at any moment. Outside, you follow a narrow path that leads past more homes and into a shaded courtyard. Here the Nabateans once gathered, not to worship, not to trade, but simply to sit, to talk, to share tea brewed with desert herbs, to listen to the wind, to pass time gently, like hands smoothing cloth. A woman might have sat here, weaving, her fingers moving without thought, her eyes on the mountains, A man might have knelt to tend a clay pipe, one of many that brought water across the city. A boy might have watched a caravan arrive, wide-eyed as camels stepped into the square, heavy with silks and rare wood. Life in Petra was not grand. It was graceful. You hear the faint sound of hooves in the distance. You turn toward the sound, even though it's only memory now. A procession moves through your imagination, a caravan returning home after many weeks. The camels wear beaded harnesses. The traders wear long robes, faces shaded from the sun. Their voices are low and cheerful. They have returned. Petra always welcomes them back. The city was quiet but never dull. At night, it lit up with lamps set in carved niches. The glow flickered across stone, painting shadows that danced like spirits on the walls. Music played, flutes, low drums, and voices humming songs that drifted up into the sky. And now, here you are, wandering where they once walked, resting where they once dreamed. And as you sit by a broken pillar, your hand brushes something in the sand. A bead, worn smooth. It could have belonged to a necklace worn by a girl on her wedding day, or by a traveler setting out across the desert. You turn it over once, twice, then place it gently back where you found it. Some stories don't need to be taken, only honored. Sleep now. If you'd like, Petra still hums. Its silence is never empty. It holds every voice, every step, every story waiting, only for a quiet heart to hear them. Evening is approaching. The sun lowers behind the cliffs, casting long shadows across the stone. Petra begins to cool, not just in temperature, but in feeling. The loudest parts of the day settle into hush, and the city becomes a place of soft echoes and memory. Now you walk again, but not through the main streets. This time, your feet find the entrance to the winding gorge that leads to the heart of the city. You passed through it before. But now you return with a different feeling. You aren't a tourist in a distant land. You're coming home. The Sick is not just a canyon. It is a passageway, a sacred one. As you step into its narrowing embrace, the walls seem to fold inward gently, like protective arms. The stone rises high on either side, sometimes 50, even 100 feet overhead, smooth, pink, golden in places, blue-gray in others. The light fades, but it's not frightening, it's comforting. Cool. Still. The path beneath your feet curves softly. It was never meant to be straight. The Nabateans believe that sacred things should not be rushed toward, but revealed gradually, like a rising dawn. As you walk, your hand brushes the canyon walls. They are warm still, holding the heat of the day. Every so often, your fingers pass over shallow carvings, faded images of ancient gods, forgotten symbols of protection and passage. You stop at one. A figure, worn but still visible, a square altar, a tall, robed shape beside it. Someone placed it here long ago, for safety, for remembrance, for those who would walk this path in silence. Like you. The Sick was the Nabateans' grand entryway, not wide or boastful but narrow and quiet. It was designed to impress, not with power, but with patience. You had to earn your first glimpse of Petra. Every turn of the gorge pulled you deeper into expectation, and then just when you were certain it would never open, you would see it, the treasury, again. And so it happens now. As the gorge begins to widen ever so slightly, a sliver of open air appears, and beyond it a glow. Your breath slows. There it is. Not just stone, but memory. Still waiting. Still watching. You don't need to step into the plaza again. You've been there, you know. Instead, you sit in the Sick itself, where it's cool and dark and quiet. You lean back against the stone and close your eyes. The breeze moves through the canyon like breath. A bird lands above. Somewhere, water drips just once, just faintly. All around you, time seems to fold inward, wrapping you in centuries of silence. You imagine what it was like to return here after weeks in the desert, to hear your own footsteps echo in this sacred space, to know the city is just ahead, the rest, the family, the laughter, the night fires, and you imagine the Nabateans whispering a quiet thank you to the stone walls that watched over them. You whisper too, and the canyon holds your voice gently, not to echo it, just to keep it safe. Sleep now, you've come far, and the path has brought you exactly where you need to be. Petra will wait until morning. It always does. The sun has gone now, not abruptly but slowly, like a lamp being dimmed in a quiet room. The shadows that once clung to the cliffs have stretched, then softened, and now they cover the city entirely. Petra is not afraid of the dark. It has known the night longer than any of us. You find yourself on a ledge, just above the old colonnaded road, where the last rays of sunlight once painted golden patterns on the walls. Now the colors have faded into twilight blue, and the only light comes from above. You lie back, arms folded under your head, and look up, and there it is, the desert sky, so wide it doesn't feel like a ceiling, but a sea. And in it, stars. Thousands. Millions. So many that it feels like time has turned inside out and poured itself into the heavens. You breathe, and the stars blink back, slow and patient. Once, a Nabatean child might have done the same, laid beneath the stars, the sandstone warm beneath their back, listening to the wind and the slow hum of insects in the night. They would watch the same constellations. They might have whispered their dreams to them, and the stars, eternal and distant, would have listened. They always do. Far below, Petra is still. The market stalls are long gone, but their memory remains. The tombs hold no voices, but they hold silence. A gentle, reverent kind of silence, and if you listen closely, truly listen, you might still hear a lullaby echoing from somewhere deeper in the ancient notes, carved not into air, but into time itself. You close your eyes now, not to sleep just yet, but to imagine a night in Petra as it once was. Lamps flickering in carved alcoves, families gathered around clay stoves, their conversations soft and low. The scent of warm bread rising through narrow doorways, children dozing off with dust still on their feet, a storyteller speaking just loud enough for the fire to hear, and in the distance, a lone flateets, notes carried on the breeze between the cliffs. The Nabateans knew how to honor the night. They did not fill it with noise. They filled it with stillness, with song, with stories passed down under the stars, until they became part of the stone, and even now, those stories wait. For anyone still enough to hear. You stir slightly on your stone perch, but you do not rise. You're warm, even in the coolness of night. The stone beneath you holds the memory of day. The wind kisses your face like a mother's hand, and overhead, the stars are not watching you, they are watching with you. Together, you are part of the same moment. And then, slowly, the city seems to breathe just once. A gentle exhale. Not from any single place, but from all of Petra, as if it, too, has finally fallen asleep. So, rest now. Let the stars turn slowly above. Let the night cradle you in arms of stone and wind and memory. Let Petra sleep, and sleep with it. Somewhere far away, a bird calls out. Just once, then silence. Then another call, gentle. You open your eyes slowly. It's early, very early, but Petra is already stirring. The stars have faded. though not fully. A pale lavender light is blooming at the horizon, where the sky meets the cliffs. The silhouettes of the mountains are sharp at their edges, but hazy in the valleys. Everything looks painted in watercolors, soft strokes of blue, rose, and gold. This is dawn in Petra. It is not sudden, it is earned. You sit up slowly on the ledge where you slept. The stone beneath you is cool, but not cold. It remembers your warmth. You stretch, hearing the faint pop of tired joints, and smile. Petra doesn't rush you. It never does. Time is something deeper, something patient. Below, the stone city begins to glow. The treasury catches the first ray of light it strikes, the very top of its columns, turning the pink sandstone into something almost living. As more light seeps down, the facade emerges from the shadows, as if waking from a long, long sleep. You walk down quietly. There's no one else around, only the breeze. Only the sound of a tiny stream trickling through an old water channel, still flowing after centuries. You follow it. It leads you through narrow alleys and quiet plazas, past the old market square, where once 1,000 footsteps echoed each morning. You imagine the doors of shops being opened, baskets carried, greetings exchanged in ancient tongues. Now there's only wind and memory, but that's enough. You can still feel the rhythm, still hear it if you walk slowly enough. You come to a small courtyard, hidden from view. A vine grows, here green leaves, stubbornly clinging to life in the crevices of the stone. Below it, a cistern holds water. Clear, still, shallow. You kneel beside it, and for a moment, your reflection joins the city's. You dip your fingers in. The water is cool and clean, and for just a second, you feel connected to everything. The traders, the builders, the dreamers, the ones who carved this world into the rock with hands and vision and time. They may be gone, but not lost. The city stretches behind you. The canyons yawn. The tombs wait. The air warms. You are not alone here, even in stillness. Petra welcomes. You sit again beside the pool, letting the light paint golden lines along your arms and the soft stone around you. The wind carries a breath of dust and sage, and everything feels gentle, as if the whole city is offering you one long, kind pause. Perhaps the Nabotians felt this too, before the merchants arrived, before the caravans departed, before the maps and myths and secrets and silence. Just this, the morning, the stone, and the space to be still. You close your eyes again, not to sleep, but to rest, to honor the moment, to hold the hush of Petra's beginning before the day begins again. Because here, in this place, the morning never truly leaves. It lingers, it waits. Just like Petra. Sleep or stay awake, it doesn't matter. You are safe here. You are part of something old, something kind. You have walked through time and been welcomed with silence, and silence is sacred. Not many reach it. It's far from the treasury and the tombs. It doesn't call attention to itself. It doesn't shine. But those who find it never forget it. The climb is long, but you are in no hurry. At every turn, there is beauty. A bird's nest tucked into a ledge, a single red flower blooming in the crack of a boulder, the soft whistle of wind slipping through narrow gaps in the cliffs. Even your footsteps sound softer here. The tombs The roads, the columns, they all blend into the landscape now, as if returning to the earth that bore them, as if the mountain prefers whispers. You stop often to rest, and each time you look back, Petra grows smaller. It feels like you're rising through time itself, leaving behind the city of trade and noise and people, climbing into a place of thought, of sky, of stone, and then, finally, it appears. Not suddenly, stronger. The carvings are deep and bold. The doorway yawns like the mouth of a cave, and above it, two great circular shapes rest in the stone like ancient eyes. But like a slow reveal, the path turns one last time. There it is. Tall, silent, ancient, the monastery. Its facade is massive, larger than the treasury but simpler. There are no crowds here, no chatter, just wind and sunlight, and the hum of history. You walk to the base. It towers over you, almost too large to understand. Its presence isn't loud, but it is absolute. You feel small here, and strangely calm. You sit on a stone bench nearby. Someone carved it centuries ago, perhaps for this very purpose. To rest, to breathe, to look up and feel something stir in your chests, something older than worry, something deeper than time. The monastery's purpose is still a mystery. Was it a temple, a tomb, a gathering place? No one knows for sure. And somehow, that makes it more beautiful. Because it isn't here to explain. It's here to be. You imagine an Nabatean priest walking out of its shadow, or a traveler arriving with an offering, or a child, years ago, standing exactly where you are now, holding their breath in wonder. You smile, because in this moment, you're all the same. Just people, standing before something built to last longer than memory, and feeling peace. The view behind the monastery stretches forever. Mountains, desert, endless sky. It's midday now. The sun, though high above, does not sting. The cliffs offer shade. The wind moves slowly. Follow the sound of water. Not rushing, not crashing, but trickling. Gentle, measured, like a lullaby sung by the stone. The Nabateans were more than carvers of cities. They were readers of the land, where others saw only dust and drought. The Nabateans saw opportunity in the sky, in the rock, in every whisper of rain. They were not at war with the desert. They listened to it, and in listening, they learned how to bring it to life. Barely wider than your hand, it follows the slope of the rock in a slow descent, turning gently, never rushing. You reach a narrow channel cut deep into the side of a sandstone cliff. This is a Kanata desert aqueduct, carved centuries ago, by tools long vanished, by hands long stilled, and yet it still works. You dip your fingers in, the water is cool, clear, alive. You close your eyes and imagine Petra as it was alive with the hum of water beneath its feet. Not fountains, not streams, but secret pathways of life. Hidden veins beneath the skin of the city. There were cisterns tucked into caves, clay pipes laid underground, covered channels that carried every drop of rare desert rain into waiting reservoirs. Some Nabateans worked as water keepers, keepers of flow, of rhythm, of precious balance. Their duty was sacred. Water wasn't simply survival, it was trust. You walk now along a canyon path, where water once moved like a silent caravan. Walls rise on both sides. The air cools, and then you find it. A rock-cut reservoir. Still, dark, deep. Its surface reflects the sky above perfectly still. Like a mirror remembering 1,000 clouds, you sit at the edge. You whisper something you don't even understand, and the water listens. This was Petra's secret. Not gold, not stone, but humility, the wisdom to shape a world in harmony with its place, to take the wildness of desert and give it grace. Some nights the Nabateans would gather near these reservoirs, to sing, to tell stories, to honor the water, the wind, the stone. No temples were needed, just stars, and silence, and shared breath. You take a drink from your flask now, and it tastes ancient, sweet, not from sugar, but from memory. It tastes like everything Petra stood for. Sustainability, balance, patience. You stand again. The wind has shifted, the light has changed, and in the canyon below, water still flows quietly, obediently, eternally. Sleep, if the moment carries you. Let the hush of ancient water lull your thoughts. Let the coolness of desert springs settle your breath. Let Petra teach you what it taught, the wind that even in silence there can be song. The path winds downward again. You move slowly, carefully, your hand brushing the stone as you walk. The cliffs around you are tall and warm, as if the sun lives just beneath their surface. And then you see it, a faint shape carved into the rock, not grand, not large, but deliberate and old. You stop, you kneel, and you begin to read, not with words, but with wonder. The Nabateans wrote in symbols, in letters, in lines that curled and stretched like vines along the face of the stone. Their script, Nabatean, Aramaic, danced across walls and altars, etched into doorways, tucked into corners. It wasn't loud, it didn't shout, it waited. It was meant for those who paused, those who listened. Just like you move from one wall to the next, and more inscriptions appear. Some names faded but proud, others dedications to gods now forgotten. Still others are mysteries, simple shapes. An open hand, a spiral, a circle with a dot in the center. What did they mean? Perhaps here we rested, or this water belongs to all, or simply remember us. You place your own hand beside a carved one. Yours fits, and for a moment, across the centuries, a connection forms, not through story, but through shape. Through gesture. Through the quiet language of time. Further down the path, you find a column cracked, but still standing. Wrapped around it are carvings of vines. Flowers. Birds. Not realistic but felt. Art, not for pride, but for prayer, for peace. The Nabateans believed in beauty, but not loud beauty. Quiet beauty, enduring beauty. You find a niche in the wall, once holding a small statue, long since worn away. But the place where it stood is still there, still sacred. Still remembered. Not everything lasts in form, but everything lasts in meaning. You sit on a flat rock. Above you, the sun leans westward, spilling golden light across the carvings. The symbols seem to glow, and you wonder, what will your story look like? Centuries from now, will someone find it, read it, feel it? Maybe, maybe not. But Petra reminds you, what matters is the intention. The offering de marque we make not for praise, but for love. You close your eyes, and the letters swirl behind them, not in a language you know, but in one you understand. Because some things, kindness, memory, hope, do not need translation. They are written in the breath, in the bones, dot in the hush of dusk on sandstone. Sleep now, if you feel it rising. Let the carved words rock you gently into dreams. Let the past hold your hand, steady and soft. You have read the stone, and the stone has read you too. Not all of Petra was carved into cliffs or guarded by towering facades. Much of it, perhaps most of it, was built in the rhythm of the ordinary. And so, today, you leave the grand arches and tall tombs behind. You follow a path scattered with pebbles and tufts of desert grass. It curves quietly between low stone walls, sun-warmed and crumbling, as if they've been exhaling for centuries. Here, life once whispered instead of roared. You step through the remains of what might have been a small home. There is no door. Just a stone threshold, worn smooth. Inside, it is open to the sky just for walls and time. But you imagine it filled with voices, with clinking bowls and soft laughter, with the aroma of spiced lentils, warm bread, and desert herbs. You sit on a flat stone that may once have been a bench or a ledge for storing clay jars, and for a moment you listen. The Nabootians didn't live loudly. They lived lightly. Families cooked over clay stoves, fueled by dry brush and silence. Meals were simple. Flatbread, dates, olives, stew thick with chickpeas and thyme, and always water carried in from carefully kept cisterns, poured with reverence. You picture an old woman at the hearth, her hands steady as she stirs. A child beside her, watching, not rushing, not just learning. You rise and continue walking, your sandals brushing softly against stone and dust. You pass another small space. Perhaps a courtyard once. A tree still grows there, an acacia, twisted and strong. Its roots deep, its shadow generous. You sit beneath it, and you imagine people gathering here. Neighbors, friends. A man playing a reed flute as the sun dips behind the canyon, a young girl spinning thread between her fingers, an elder telling stories not loudly, but in the tone of someone who trusts time. The Nabetians were not ruled by clocks. They were guided by light, by the season, by the sound of the wind shifting slightly at dusk, and so their days moved, not in hours, but in moments. A moment for working, a moment for resting, a moment for sitting together in the hush of early evening, watching the shadows deepen across the cliffs. You lie down now on the smooth, warm earth of the courtyard, your head resting on your folded arms. Above you, the sky begins its slow change again, from blue to gold to something softer. Everything slows with it, even your breath, even your thoughts. Petra was not just a city of tombs and traders, it was a city of lives. Real, gentle, imperfect lives, filled with quiet rituals. With songs hummed while grinding grain, with the sound of a pot lid settling on stone, with children chasing goats and falling into laughter. And though those lives have vanished into dust and memory, their shape remains. Not in statues, but in feelings. In the way a breeze moves between walls, in the stillness of a sun-warmed step, in the soft echo of footsteps where no one walks anymore. Except you. Sleep now. If your heart is still, you have wandered through their home, and they have left the door open for you. There is a place to rest here. There always was, and it was never far away. You rise early again before the sun, before the birds, before even the wind has found its voice. Petra is still asleep, so you step beyond it, beyond the carved facades, beyond the roads and tombs and ledges and stairs, into the open, into the desert. It stretches before you like a sea of stillness, not empty, but vast. Not silent, but listening. The sand is cool beneath your feet, soft in places, hard in others, marked with the faint prints of creatures that pass through during the night. You follow no path. There are none here. Only direction. Only instinct. Only the slow turning of the earth. The Nabateans knew this desert better than any map ever could. They read the dunes like words. They listened to the wind like a warning or a promise. They followed stars as calmly as we follow signs. This was not wilderness to them. It was home. You find a flat rock and sit. The sky brightens not fast, but gradually, like a veil being drawn back, colors appear. At first, only hints of rose and gold along the horizon, then the blue grows deeper. Then the cliffs in the far distance light up one by one, their edges catching the sun like candles in a great cathedral. And you're still here, just watching, just being. Somewhere far off, you see the shape of a caravan, just a mirage, perhaps, or maybe a memory. Camels in line, people walking beside them, goods packed tightly. Eyes focused not on the miles ahead, but on trust in the sky, in the land, in each other. The Nabateans traveled far, to Egypt, to Damascus, to the Red Sea. They carried incense and silk and spices and stories, but they always returned, always found their way back to Petra, guided by landmarks only they understood. A rock shaped like a sleeping lion, a pattern in the hills, the call of a desert hawk at dusk. You walk a little farther now, just enough to feel the desert's breath. It's not cold, but steady, as if the land itself is breathing under your feet. A rhythm, a pulse, a reminder that even the places we call still are very much alive. You kneel and touch the sand. It shifts easily, but beneath, it's firm. The top layer travels, but the core stays strong. Maybe that's how the Nabateans lived. Soft on the surface, rooted underneath. As the sun climbs higher, the wind wakes up. It moves around you, gently carrying the scent of warm rock and distant flowers. You close your eyes, and the desert begins to speak, not in words, but in presence, in peace, in a feeling too large for language, too small for sound. Sleep, if you wish. The desert will keep you. It has held thousands before you wanderers, dreamers, traders, kings. It does not judge. It only watches. It only waits. There comes a time in every story when the noise fades, the footsteps slow, the fires go out, and the city begins to rest. For Petra, that moment didn't come suddenly. It came gently, over many years. The Nabateans had built a masterpiece, a city of stone and sky and silence, sustained by trade, water, and wisdom. But trade routes shifted. The sea became faster than the sand. Caravans no longer needed Petra, and the world turned, as it always does. Rome arrived. Then Byzantium. Then the shadows of empires that left no name, only change. Petra adapted her, but earthquakes came, structures cracked, cisterns collapsed, and the city that once whispered with life grew quiet. You walk now among broken columns. They lie like fallen trees, stretched across the dust, but they do not feel ruined. They feel returned to the earth that gave them shape. A wall still stands, though half of it leans. Vines have begun to creep along its edge. Nature does not erase Petra. It embraces it, softly, lovingly, like a child curling up beside an elder, worn with age. You step into a once grand hall, now open to the sky. Birds live here now, their nests tucked in corners, once reserved for gods and kings. They sing, not loud, not for you, just because they can. just because Petra lets them. It's easy to think of decline as an ending, but here it feels more like a pause, a long breath, a return to slowness. You find a stairway carved into the rock-worn and uneven. You climb it slowly, each step a meditation. At the top, a small platform offers a view of the city below. The treasury, the tombs, the courtyards, all glowing in the late sun. Not empty, not forgotten, just resting, you sit and you listen. To the stone, to the wind, to the deep and ancient silence that Petra has earned. Some say Petra was lost, buried beneath sand and time. But Petra was never lost. It simply stopped speaking aloud. It waited, and it waits still. For those quiet enough to hear, you lean back against the wall. It's warm. Not with heat, but with memory. You close your eyes, not in sadness, but in gratitude. Because even the most beautiful places must rest, and even the greatest stories must become still. Sleep now, if the moment allows. Let Petra's hush cradle you. Let the ruins remind you. Silence is not failure. It is peace. It is return. It is the sound of a city exhaling into forever. Centuries passed, and Petra slept, tucked in the folds of the Jordanian cliffs, guarded by silence and sand. The city faded from the minds of empires, but not forever. The world, curious and restless, always circles back. It was 1812. A Swiss explorer named Johann Ludwig Burckhardt stood before the narrow opening of the Sick. He had heard whispers, rumors of a lost city in the rocks. He didn't come with trumpets. He came dressed as a traveler, soft-spoken, respectful, watching, listening. He passed through the gorge just as you once did, step by step, turn by turn. And then he saw it, the treasury, still standing, still watching, still waiting. He did not shout. He simply understood. He returned with sketches and stories. And the world, busy with industry and war, suddenly turned its eyes to this forgotten place. Petra, once again, had visitors. Not conquerors, but seekers. Archaeologists. Writers. Pilgrims of time. You walk now in Burckhardt's footsteps. Not as a tourist, but as a friend. You pass over ground that has seen sandals and boots, hooves and bare feet, each leaving behind more curiosity than harm. Petra welcomed them to dock cautiously, dock quietly. As always, soon came artists, painting Petra in warm watercolors. Soon came scholars, tracing its script with careful fingers. Soon came dreamers, imagining kings and queens where goats now grazed. Petra, once buried in sand, was unearthed with wonder. But not all was perfect. As fame grew, so did crowds. Noise, curiosity sometimes gave way to intrusion. Walls cracked further. Names were scratched into ancient facades. And yet, Petra endured. Because Petra understands. Time moves in cycles, and patience is its greatest strength. You sit now beside a modern path, paved softly between carved walls. You watch someone walk by, dock camera in hand, eyes wide, mouth quiet, and you smile, because in that person's face you see your own curious, reverent, still. Petra is no longer hidden. But it is never fully revealed either. It remains what it has always been. A city of layers. A place of stillness beneath movement. A dream beneath stone. You lie back on a smooth ledge. The air is cooler now. The light softer. And somewhere nearby, someone is reading an old explorer's journal aloud. Their voice barely above a whisper, as if afraid to wake the past too quickly. Sleep, if you will. Petra doesn't mind. It has waited for centuries. It will wait for you. In dusk, In the space between forgotten and found. Even after the footsteps stop, even after the stones fall silent, some places continue, not because they resist time, but because they belong to it. Petra is one such place. It was built by hands long gone, with tools that no longer exist, in a language few remember. But its message, still here, still clear, still whispered through every canyon wall and sunlit tomb. We were here, and we mattered. You stand once more at the edge of the sixth narrow gorge that first welcomed you. It looks different now, not because it has changed, but because you have. You have walked with the Nabateans, listened to their water, sat beneath their stars, heard their silence, and somehow, without knowing it, you've become part of the story. Too, you look down at the path below your feet. It's worn smooth, not just by time, but by memory. Every stone you touched has been touched before, and will be touched again. That is Petra's gift. It never keeps. It always shares. All around the city. The cliffs are glowing. Not bright, not burning, but warm, like a candle at the end of a long day. The facades seem to smile. The tombs seem to breathe. The sky begins its slow descent into night once more. And you are exactly where you need to be. You think about the Nabateans, their mastery of water, their quiet confidence, their deep understanding that nothing lasts forever. But some things outlive us all the same. Not through strength, not through gold, but through meaning. Through kindness, through care, through carving something beautiful and then letting it go. Petra is not frozen in time. It flows with it, like the desert wind, like the hidden springs, like your breath, slow and steady, as you rest in its memory. And so, before you go, you place your hand on the stone one last time. It is warm, it is still, it is listening, and in your silence, it remembers you. Sleep now. The journey is ending. Not with fanfare, but with peace. Petra remains, and because you've walked its quiet paths, you do too. You've seen the facades, the tombs, the treasury, the monastery. You've followed the water, touched the symbols, sat in the silence. Now all of Petra lies behind your eyelids, a city no longer carved in stone, but gently carved in you. The desert breeze returns, soft, cool. A hush across your shoulders. You are still beneath the stars, just as the Nabateans once were. They too watched these constellations, not with urgency, but with trust, knowing that even when unseen, the stars are still there. Petra does not need to be remembered. It remembers you. The sand has recorded your footsteps. The wind has carried your breath into the caverns, and somewhere between cliff and canyon, your presence has been folded into the city's long, slow memory. You breathe now, steady, even. Each exhale loosens a little more thought. Each inhale brings only quiet. You are safe. You are still. The stone is warm beneath you. The night sky cradles your thoughts like a sleeping child. What is a legacy? Is it a monument, a treasure, a victory? Or is it the simple act of leaving something better than you found it? A soft path, a carved channel, a whispered kindness in a canyon that echoes for centuries? Petra is not only a city. It is a reminder that even in a harsh world, beauty can be shaped, peace can be chosen, stillness can be powerful, and silence can be sacred. You don't have to do anything now. You don't have to remember the names, or the dates, or the emperors. You only have to rest, because rest is what Petra gives you. A long, slow, gentle stillness. Sleep now. Let your thoughts fall like grains of sand. Let your dreams be carved from red stone and golden light. Let the soft arms of the canyon wrap around you. Let the story end not with a word, but with a sigh. Petra is quiet again. You are part of that quiet, and that quiet is beautiful. Good night, and welcome home.